Do you want to know how to be a calmer parent? Well, you're not alone with that. In fact, there was a time when I wanted to know how to be a calmer parent. And now here I am teaching calmness, writing about calmness, and helping parents all over the world find that joy that comes, that happiness that comes as they pursue calmness. So calmness is a vital part of self-government. This channel is called the Teaching Self-Government channel because everything I talk about here really does go back to that personal self-government, that pursuit of happiness that we have individually, that everyone hopes to have that order inside so that they can feel at peace, so that they can see the wisdom that they need in order to navigate their challenges, benefit, strengthen others, influence others for good. That all comes actually from self-government, which hinges on a person's ability to rein themselves in and have calmness. So when the person reins themselves in, that doesn't mean they just shut off a switch. That means that they're actually okay. That means that they have chosen to be okay. No matter what's going on, their mindset is not ruffled by the things that are happening around them. Let's talk about some keys to becoming a calmer parent. Key number one is you need to know where you're headed as a parent. What is your goal? What is your vision? Or what are you hoping to accomplish? What do you want those relationships to feel like? How do you want to feel at the end of a parenting interaction or the end of a day? Do you want a certain type of a bonding? Can you articulate that? Can you create a picture of it in your mind? And do your children also understand it? Sometimes we do parenting to them instead of helping them understand this very, very relevant part of our lives, which is parenting to them. Their lives revolve around our parenting. Everything hinges on it. And sometimes we don't keep them in the know. We just nag, complain, get angry. We should be telling them what they need to succeed as well. In fact, when I was 14 years old, I had a very wise neighbor who said to me about arguments I was having with my father, "Have you ever thought of just saying okay?" That question rocked my world. It changed everything for me and my parents. This person challenged me to go home, and every time my parents told me to do something or not to do something, to say okay and be okay. I did that, and my whole relationship with my parents shifted. It became a different relationship. It was so powerful. So to this day, I can say okay and be okay whenever I want to. Now, sometimes is it a little harder than others? Well, yes, there's some things we get emotionally invested in, some no answers that are a little bit more difficult to take. But if you know you can do it and you know why it's good for you, then you still can choose it. Calmness is a choice. And I think that's the piece of the equation that many people are missing. So that's another key. Key number 2 to calmness is that it is a choice that you make. So number 1, plan what you want to accomplish. Number 2, recognize that you get to choose calmness or not. It doesn't matter any neurodiversity. It doesn't matter any level of stress. Doesn't matter the excuses. Don't make excuses because calmness is a choice. Now, I know sometimes it feels like it happens to us faster than we can rein it in, but that's just because we go on autopilot in our brain. So if you can understand that when you feel something, you get a split second to make a choice before you start to go to emotion on whatever that feeling was. If you can challenge that thought, if you can question that thought, if you can plan to have a better thought, then you will have better outcomes. You'll have logical outcomes. You'll be able to solve your problems, bond to people better, instead of going to power struggle and going to that emotional dumping part of your brain that oftentimes feels so disempowering. So it is true that calmness is empowerment for the person. So third, we need to be able to analyze ourselves in the moment. Do we know what's happening? What does it feel like when I am calm? What does it feel like when I'm not calm? What thoughts do I have? You could bump along for a little bit before you finally figure this out. But if you think carefully over the last few times that you were not calm, you'll probably find some common things. Do you lean in? Do you point? Does your chin stick out? What physical things happen to you? And then what's going on inside your head? What kinds of things are you telling yourself inside your own head that make it so that you emotionally dump on other people and feel disempowered instead of feeling empowered to be able to be calm no matter what happens? The most powerful person in the room is the calm person in the room. And I don't mean the fake calm, I am calm. That's not calm. I mean the one who's really ready to listen. They're open-minded. They care. They can point people in the right direction, but they're not going to be walked on. That is a very calm and confident person. So this brings me to the next key on our list, which is that you've got to know what to say. So often we're having an inner dialogue that ends up becoming our outer dialogue. If you know what to say to a person when you're problem solving with them, everything changes. In fact, this whole channel that's all about teaching self-government is about the inner dialogue and the outer dialogue and how to help people solve problems in a self-governed way. It's about freedom. That's what self-government actually is, when you are deliberately in charge of what you're going to think. And that makes you more in charge of your outcomes because you're taking your choices seriously and deliberately. So what are you going to say? If you keep saying the same thing you've been said in all the other times when you're power struggling and you're not calm, you're going to end up having the same problems again and again. The recipe for insanity has been described many times as doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. So that means you probably need a new dialogue. Maybe on the inside, maybe on the outside, maybe both. And if your child is struggling with calmness, they probably need new scripts and dialogues too. This is where teaching self-government really comes in handy. So I teach parents how to teach their children things like how to follow instructions, accept no answers, disagree appropriately, accept consequences. These skills help parents and children be able to communicate more effectively, maintain the roles in the family, which alleviates that inevitable dysfunction that comes from power struggles. Also, it helps families stay on the same page, learn how to communicate as a group, and do basic problem solving together. It's incredibly liberating. So learning how to correct a problem when it's going wrong. Let's say you teach your child how to follow instructions or how to disagree appropriately, and they don't do their skill that they've learned. Now, how are you going to fix it? Well, you've got to be prepared with skills of your own. That's where I come in. I realized when I was taking in treatment foster children years ago that I didn't want to be out of control. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to have them to be calm because many of them were neurodiverse, had been through trauma. They didn't have the skills they needed. I wanted to teach them the skills, but at the same time, I was going to need to correct it. And I had to learn a new trick for how to do that. Saying, what were you thinking? Don't you know that everyone hates that is not going to be beneficial to that? I needed to give them something they could use. We needed to point the conversation forward instead of always focusing on how we felt in the past. So when you know what to say, when you know what to think in the moment, it changes everything for you. I would love to share more with you about calmness, about all the skills and scripts that you need for self-government. You can find things at my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. And on my website right now, there is a calm parenting toolkit that's for free. That could be the first taste for you into self-government and start learning some of the things about calmness so that you can become a calmer parent in the future and your children can learn to be calmer too. Go to teachingselfgovernment.com. I'll see you there.